Hello and welcome to another Gunpla review. Today we'll be taking a look at the YMS 08B Dom test type from Gundam The Origin. The Dom test type obviously being the prototype of the Dom based on the Zaku II, and despite appearances, the test type does not in fact reuse any runners from the Origin Zaku II. But without further ado, let's start off by taking a look at the articulation. Getting into the usable articulation, the head does have the standard Origin Zaku neck joint. Thank you, camera. It can get a full 360 spin, and the eye inside is actually articulated. However, there's no way to really move it without disassembling the head slightly. So if you'll excuse me a moment, you separate off the nose piece, and this comes off very easily. And then the eye is on a small stem, which is attached onto a ball joint, well, a dome anyway, that allows it to move. And for the sake of showing it off, and because it'll be easier, I'll use a toothpick. And it can move up, which if you put this back on, you can see it is actually looking upwards. And of course it can look, it'll probably be easier to do this with tweezers, but it can look, oh come on, side to side, though it doesn't want to right now. Let me see if I can, it'll center easily anyway. Yeah, it keeps wanting to pop up. There we go. Obviously you shouldn't put it this far over, because then it's really looking off to the side. Anyway, I do feel like the bends in this tube are going to wear out over time, so be careful about that. You probably don't want to move the eye around too much. And for the rest of the review, I'm going to leave it centered, or about as centered as I can get. Should be good. Yeah. And just squeeze that back in. And there we go. Moving on with the articulation, it does have the standard Origin Zaku torso articulation. Though, given the bulkier center piece of the chest, the sides don't come in as far as on the standard Zaku. The arms can go out to about 90 degrees, which is perfectly fine. They're on a ball joint. This is on a separate hinge. You get a rotation at the upper arm. A incredibly good elbow joint. And as standard, the wrist is a ball joint. Moving on to the waist, and it has the standard Origin Zaku. I'm going to be saying that a bit, but like I said earlier, it doesn't actually reuse any of the parts. It has a ball joint, very good range, really good crunch, good flex to the back, side to side is fine. You get a little bit out of this because of the lip inside there. You could always just shave that down, but the back thrusters actually are slightly, and I do mean slightly, well, maybe not quite so slightly, hinged. They can point down and go back. The hip skirts are actually separate on the runner, and they don't go in any further than that, which is nice. The side skirts are fairly limited, but given how the armor inside comes up like that. Doesn't really matter. Not in the way at all. You can get these are fresh joints, so they're a little bit squeaky. Don't worry about that. You can get almost full splits, which is more than you'll probably need. And that's more to get the leg out to the front. If you move this up, you get 90 degrees without shifting the hips forward. And if you do, this is easier said than done because of how this is molded. It's a little bit tight, but if you get it forward, mostly forward. Okay, mine doesn't want to go any further forward than that, but it has to go further forward. I'm afraid of breaking it. Yeah, it doesn't really want to go any further forward than that. But yeah, so about 90 degrees. Kind of odd that that's even there then, if it doesn't add any more articulation, but let's shift these back to where they're supposed to be. And move on to the knee, which is insane. In fact, I think that's more articulation than the Zaku gets out of its knee. The small thruster bells are actually on a hinge and can move slightly, as well as the foot is on a hinge and a ball joint. So it can get, and on a separate hinge inside the foot too, also actually. So it can get extremely far forward, and it can go back far enough. Moving on to accessories, and the Dom test type is actually fairly light in terms of accessories. Let's start off with what I consider to be an accessory, the sticker sheet. I've obviously used the eye, but otherwise I have painted the red stickers onto the chest, which is a clear piece. You can just choose whether you want it to be clear or red or whatever. And I've left all of the white stripes on the kit, as well as the marking stickers off, because as usual I prefer my kits to be cleaner looking for a look of what the stripes look like. You get the heat. What was this called again? I want to say saber, but I don't think that's right. Baton? No. Let's go with heat saber, which just can actually slide into the hand and is held perfectly fine. As well, it can just be stored on the back like that. And swapping the closed fists for the other set of hands, which is the trigger finger and splayed hands. And this trigger hand still has the awkward wrist for some reason. You can put the beam bazooka into the trigger finger hand, which is held on by a tab. Though honestly, since there's no storage for this, there's no real reason to ever take the hand off of it unless you're planning on giving it another weapon, but I mean, why would you? This is actually so large that it almost starts to pull the hand out of the socket, so be careful about that when you're posing it. I would recommend either having it off to the side or having it braced with the open hand. And the open hand does actually brace it very well. It looks good. And you can get some very nice poses out of the kit with it. Getting into additional parts, the polycap runner. Well, it does come with the option parts for the standard Zaku II chest plate instead of the cockpit variant. As for a quick size comparison, the Dom test type is fairly standard sized for a Origin kit. About the same size as the Zaku II. To wrap this review up, the high grade, the Origin Dom test type is a kit that I would absolutely recommend. The articulation is excellent. You don't have to worry about painting very much, or anything at all for that matter. While the accessories may be slightly limited, the beam bazooka is incredibly striking and will definitely stand out on your shelf despite the monochrome color scheme of the mobile suit itself, though that is helped by the splash of red. Anyway, that's been all for this review. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe for more videos. Like this review if you enjoyed it. And most importantly, share this review. But as always, until next time, happy building.